Welcome. My name's Lance Gerard. I'm the principal at Our Savior in Houston, Texas. I'm married to Jill, who grew up in this church, was confirmed here, and we got married here, so I'm very familiar with Faith Lutheran. It's always good to be here. I have 4 children. My oldest is 30. My youngest is 21, just turned 21. 2 of them are teachers, 2 of them are not. So, and I also have a brother that's a headmaster at Lutheran High North in Houston, and a younger sister that's a teacher. I come from a family of 4, and only one of us did not go into teaching. So anyway, that's a little bit about me. What I'm going to present today is not something that's complicated. It's actually not even a whole lot of information. I'm sure that any one of you could go back to your schools when you leave here and implement something like this year if you wanted to. And this is also not something that's just for classical schools. I mean, this could be done in a regular Lutheran school. I don't think it'd work in a public school. It might, but at any rate, we had a classical committee that was meeting off and on a fairly regular basis. And someone on that committee suggested that we consider implementing this house system. So one of our teachers investigated it, made a presentation. We decided that this would be a pretty good idea. So in 2015 is when we started it. It's evolved a little bit since then. We just finished our 3rd year. The origin of the house system goes back to the English boarding schools. I could not find a date where somebody began this whole enterprise, but we do know that it starts with the English boarding schools, where students spent the entire school year on their campus, and they were randomly assigned to houses, and those houses typically had names. Sometimes they were the names of the building that they were in. Some houses were named after school founders, names of saints, names of famous people, and then arbitrary things, which is the direction that we went. Our mascot at Our Savior is the Eagles. So we took 4 parts of an eagle, took the Latin name for them, and we used that to name the houses. So House Talonus is Latin for claw, so we have House Talonus. Rostrum is Latin for beak, so we have House Rostrum. Oculus is Latin for eye, so we have House Oculus. And Aquili is Latin for wings. So those are our 4 houses. Now, it doesn't have to be 4. It could be 3, it could be 8. It really depends on the size of your school. We have about 250 students. This is just for our kindergarten through 8th graders. So 4 houses work great for us. I'm going to weave just a little bit of history through this, but mostly I'm going to be talking about what we did and how we did it. The British schools had house leaders. They were typically the faculty members, and they served as the parent for the students. They also had student leaders, and they would lead meetings and gain leadership skills as a result of that. The students were randomly assigned, as I told you before, and they would stay in the same house the entire time that they were at that school. And if they had a sibling enroll in the school, that sibling would be put in the same house as they are. And we do that same thing. So for years, probably 10 years, at Our Savior, we've had chapel families. We took 2 or 3 students from each grade, beginning in kindergarten, put them together in a chapel family. We put the siblings in the same family. We would assign a faculty member to that family, and then they would sit together in chapel. We also would pair the older students up with a younger student. We call them chapel buddies, and they would sit with their chapel buddy, help them find hymns in the hymnal, follow along with the service, keep them in line, make sure they're behaving. And that one faculty member would sit with that chapel family in chapel. We didn't really do much else with those chapel families. In the spring, we typically have a game day, and during Lutheran Schools Week typically is when we do that. And sometimes we have games and relays with the chapel families, but other than that, they pretty much just sat together at chapel. Anybody else in here have chapel families? No? Chapel buddies in the same class? Okay.
No, different classes.
Different classes. Do they sit together? Yeah. Yes? All right, so we had 11 chapel families, so I had to make a 12th chapel family to make this work. We took 3 of them and made them into one house. And then, again, this was just random. Pick 3 chapel families, you're going to be Aquili. Pick 3 more, you're going to be Tolonis, and so on. So 12 chapel families, we ended up with 4 houses. So there's 3 faculty members for each house. And one of those faculty members is designated as the house leader. And all that means is when we do a house activity, they're responsible for giving the explanations, coordinating things, getting whatever help they need from other faculty members. Any questions on that? So what is the purpose of this? This is true historically and true now. Friendly competition. It's a way to get your students to compete with one another in a non-threatening manner. You can award points. We'll talk about that a little more in a bit. I think it promotes leadership. You're giving those older students opportunity to mentor younger students. So you're teaching leadership skills. I think it promotes camaraderie among the students, promotes school spirit. Each house has a house chant, and we do yell competitions with the chants. And then student familiarity. It's really rewarding to see an older student walking through the cafeteria and then watch a younger student run up and give them a bear hug because that's their chapel buddy. You've probably seen that too, if you have chapel families. Historically, these were some of the things that they did for competition and to earn points. They would have debate. We don't do a debate, but we do something similar. I'll talk about in a little bit. Sports days, get points for good behavior, and then points for academics, good academics. And I should say, if you've read the Harry Potter series, you've already got some familiarity with the house system. Matter of fact, I read that series did more to bring awareness to the English boarding schools and the house system than anything else had ever done before. I don't know how true that is, but it makes sense. So these are some of the things that we do to give, to promote the competition or to provide the competition and give opportunity for students to earn points. Attendance at games. So we have sports teams, 5th through 8th grade. If you're not on a sports team and you attend a volleyball game or a basketball game, we have a sign-in sheet. So you sign your name in, put down the name of your house, and you get points for your house for having been there. We don't keep track of how long they stay. So if they come, sign in, and leave, we don't know usually. I'm sure that happens. Participation in Spirit Week. We go to the state basketball tournament every year. It's in early February, and that's a big deal. And so we have Spirit Week leading up to that tournament where there's different dress-up days. I'm sure all of you do similar things, either Lutheran Schools Week or maybe Spirit Week. And so if the students participate in the dress-up days or whatever it is that we're doing, they can get points for their house. We have Accelerated Reader. Any of you use Accelerated Reader? They get points for that. So you read a book, you take a test. They get rewarded actually 2 different ways. One, they get points for their house, but we also keep track of what level they're on, and the ultimate is they get lunch with the principal. So that's always enjoyable to take the students out to lunch. Participation in extracurricular activities. So if they play in a sport, they get points for their house. We have a spirit stick, so when we have our yell contests, whoever yells loudest gets the spirit stick, and they get to keep it in their classroom till the next time. So all the students in that class would get points for their house. In November, well, actually we start in October, we do a food drive every year. And if a student brings food, they get points for their house, just one time. They can't bring a can of beans every day and keep getting more points for their house. Just for participation, they get points. And then that food is donated to a local pantry. We also do a toy drive leading up to Christmas. Those toys get donated to Precinct 1 Constable's office. If a student brings a toy, they get points for their house. We have Academic Quest. Lutheran High North sponsors an academic competition every year. They invite area Lutheran schools and some other Christian schools. And if the students, they give places to 1st through 6th. So if a student places 1st through 6th, they get points for their house. Our National Junior Honor Society does a Citizen of the Month every month. So if you're the winner, you get points for your house for that. We have a spelling bee. If you participate, you get points. If you're one of the finalists, you get points. Of course, the winner would get the most. Our students in 5th through 8th grade take the National Latin exam. So if they get one of those top 3, is it 3? Right? It's summa cum laude, magna cum laude, and cum laude. If they earn one of those awards, they get points for their house. We have an oratio competition. It's called Oratio Eloquentium. We do that in the spring. As part of our Learn by Heart program, we have pieces of literature that we expose our students to: poetry, famous speeches, excerpts from Shakespeare. We've assigned a difficulty value to each of those pieces of literature. And 6th through 8th graders are required to pick one of them, memorize it, and then they give that speech or recite whatever it is in front of the class. The students and the teacher judge them. And that's done in all 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And they narrow it down to 12 students. So we have a round of 12. They continue practicing their performance. They've got a couple of weeks after that before they have to go to the round of 12. Then we have 3 adults be the judges, and we narrow that down to 6. And then those students compete against one another in this Oratio Eloquentium, which, by the way, is Latin for, did I say that? Eloquent speech. We invite all the student body. We invite parents, grandparents if they want to come. And in the cafeteria up on a stage, they do their performance. And we have 3 outside judges. And then we award the top 3. So if you're a top 3, you get points for your house. It's pretty cool. Pastor Gobb has judged it before. The kids have really gotten into that. They dress in character, and the ones that are super motivated to be a part of it, they just do a really good job. And then another one that we give points for, if your sports team is in a tournament and they get 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, they get points. All those kids get points for their houses for having done that. There's probably more. At the end here, I'm going to show you our point sheet. I had a copy that I could have just read to you, but I had this bright yellow folder that said the house system written right across the front, and I left it in Houston. I had my notes in it, and anyway. So then at the beginning of the school year, here's one way in which this has kind of evolved. The first year we did this, it wasn't super organized. The person in charge was just kind of randomly saying, 2 weeks from now, we're going to have a house activity. This is going to be what it is. And it just didn't go real well. So the next year, a group of faculty got together in August before school started, had a meeting to talk about what are we going to do each month for an activity with the houses. They mapped it all out. They assigned a teacher to each month to be in charge of kind of organizing everything. And that worked really well. So these are some of the activities that we did this past year. August, we did a meet and greet. So we took the 4 houses. Remember, this is not 250, it's about 220 kids. We put 2 houses in the gym. We put 2 houses in the cafeteria. They sit in a circle with the faculty that's part of their house, and they take turns standing up in the middle of the circle, say their name, what grade they're in, and something about themselves. So it's just an introduction. And it was very simple, didn't take a lot of time. I don't remember what we did in September and October, but in November we had the food drive, but we also did an activity. We in the cafeteria, we put the houses together and they decorated pumpkins for with their chapel buddies to be used to decorate the tables at our Thanksgiving feast. Every year, the week before Christmas, we provide a turkey, mashed potatoes, the whole bit, dinner, lunch. We invite parents and grandparents, and we usually end up serving about 400 people. It's a big deal. And so they decorated pumpkins together, and we use those to decorate the tables. December, we have that toy drive that I mentioned, but the activity was the kids got together and with their chapel buddies, they made ornaments for the Christmas trees. We have 4 trees that we put in the cafeteria, 1 for each house. And so they put their ornaments on their house tree. We have lights on the tree too. In January, the chapel buddies read together. I've got a picture of that. I'll show you. So we just put 2 houses in the gym, 2 in the cafeteria. They go wherever they want with their chapel buddy or buddies. In some cases, some have more than one. And they read to them. March, we had house relays. So we just went out on the pavilion and did different kind of relays, each of the houses against one another, awarded points to the winners. And then in May, we just did a sack lunch outside. So our school's on 60 acres. So we'd spread them out. This house would go over here and this one over there, and they just sit down with their chapel buddy and have a sack lunch together. So those are some of the activities that we did. But you can see already, this is not that complicated. And you're getting all these students together of the different ages. They get to know one another better. There's the fellowship element of it. So anyway, I'm sure you can come up with a lot of other good ideas. Here's some other activities that we do as a house. Of course, they sit together in chapel. So our church, many of you have been there, is octagonal in shape. And so we've got a section of pews here, section of pews here, here, and here. And so we put the houses, they sit together in one of those sections. So you have your 3 chapel families that make up the one house, all sitting in one section, and then they sit with their chapel buddies. They sit together at pep rallies. We do those in the gym. We actually have banners on the wall with the house names on them, and so that houses know where they're supposed to sit in the bleachers. So they sit together and they sit by their chapel buddy. Sometimes we don't. Like if there's an assembly or something like that in the gym, we may not have the houses sit together. We may just have them sit with their classes, but pep rallies, we do it that way. We have a big end of the year awards ceremony that's in the gym. That's where we give awards for perfect school attendance, perfect church and Sunday school attendance, academic awards. We recognize the honor students. We recognize the most valuable athletes, most improved, Christian athlete, all those sorts of things. And so what we did, first time we did this was 2 years ago. We put 4 sections of chairs on the floor. There's about 50 kids in each house. And so they sat together for that award ceremony. And then this past year, we had them process into a mighty fortress, and an 8th grader would be at the front carrying their house banner, put it in a stand, and then everybody just sat down. And I've got some pictures of that I'll show you. Oh yeah, I just explained that to you. Oh, and then the last award that we give out is the house cup. This is our house cup. So, by the way, this idea wasn't mine. The way we came up with the house names, one of the people on our committee came up with that, but I thought it was pretty clever. Anyway, so we have the names of the different houses. There's Rostrum, Talonus, Oculus, and Aquili. And so then whoever had the most points at that award ceremony, they were given this house cup, and then it sits in our trophy case. This past year, Talonus was the winner. I'm House Aquili, so we lost. Two years in a row. We haven't won. And then there's a Latin inscription on here. This seal that I have on my shirt is engraved in here. And then my Latin's a little rusty. Donum victoris, a gift to win. What is that? Donum victoris. Donum victoris. Donum is a gift, isn't it? Yeah. The gift of victory. Yeah, that works for me, Pastor.
Who made that trophy?
We've got a guy that he's a carpenter that a member uses all the time, and one of the committee members found the cup at a antique shop, and then he had the carpenter design that and put the cup on it. It's pretty cool. There's a picture of our house banners. So Aquila, Rostrum, Talonis, Oculus, and then on the banner, Aquila has the wings, Rostrum has the beak, Talonis has the claw, Oculus has the eye. That's one of the house activities so there's an 8th grader reading to a kindergartner and a 1st grader. They happen to be sisters. That was in our cafeteria. We just let them spread out wherever. And that was probably a 20-minute time period that we had them read together. That's about as long as some of the little ones can sit anyway. This was the awards ceremony where the kids were processing in with the banners there. You can see up here one of the wall banners for Oculus, so that's where Oculus sits in the bleachers. Another picture of the award ceremony. That's one of the houses sitting together, saying the pledges. There they were doing their house chant. There's that wall banner again. So there's one for each house. That's a vinyl kind of deal that we stuck up there on the wall. And then this is in our main classroom building where grades 1 through 8 are. There's a picture. We had the guy that does our school pictures. We asked him to take a picture of all 4 of our houses, which he did for free. I just paid for the material. So we put these on a banner, and I think that's last year's picture. But each house gets a section of the wall where their picture hangs. And then there's also another, I didn't get a picture of this one, but it shows who has the name of the House Cup winner for 2016, 2017, and then we'll keep putting them up there for each year for whoever wins. And there's Talonis, won the House Cup. That's all the slides I have. I wanted to show you the points, house points. I don't know how well this is gonna. So we have one teacher who was responsible for keeping track of the points. I don't know how difficult it was. I thought she was gonna be here, and I was gonna put that on her to explain, but she never complained. So maybe it wasn't that difficult. But for attending a game, they get 1 point. For participation in Spirit Week, 1 point. Most of it's 1 point. Spelling bee, 1 point for participating, but if they get first, they get 10. Second, they get 5. So these are the extracurricular things. If they participate in sports, it's 2 points. All those are 2 points. Latin exam, if they were in the first place group, they got 10, 5 and 3. Our band and choir, they usually go to 2 competitions a year. If they got a 1 or a 2 or a 3, or if they would get points for their house. That oratio eloquentium I was telling you about. If you made it to the round of 12, you got 2 points. You didn't get points for just participating because you have to participate. If you made it to the round of 6, you got 4 points, and then if you won the whole thing, you got 10, then 6 and 3. Spirit stick, whoa, that's worth a lot of points. Toy drive. Let's see, how do we do this? Each house had their own box to put items in. Oh, so Janine Lunsford was the one who managed this. She weighed the food, and whoever had the most tonnage got the 20 points. Yeah. So it didn't matter how much, the quantity. Sports tournament, 5, 3, and 1. Academic quest, 1 point for being there. 1 to 6, depending on the place you got. Student of the month gets 5 points. That ought to be worth more than that, I think. Field day, our first through fourth graders have their own field day. It's on our campus actually, with other Lutheran schools come and they do with all their events. They get points for participating in that. Place doesn't matter because they all get a ribbon. 5th through 8th also has a field day, and if they place 1st through 6th, they get that point for their house. I guess that's it on that. That's all I have. Any questions? Like I said, well, go ahead.
Lance, who made your banners for you?
I don't know. Janine had those made. She can. I'm sure she'd be happy to share that with you. Who did that? I think Janine did. It might have been the committee member. Yes, ma'am.
So it seems like you have something for just about all of your students here to participate in. Because something I think even Lutheran schools can be notorious for is really honoring the athletes.
Yes.
And those who bring lots of attention to the school. Do you find that kids who might be on the autism spectrum might really have a hard time integrating, I guess, into a classroom with this kind of model? Do you find that this really encourages them, or do you have any, I guess, conflict with that?
We haven't had any conflict with that. We actually have right now 2 high-functioning autistic students in our school. One's going to be a 7th grader. The other one, can't think right now. It hasn't been a problem for us. It was challenging to find things that the kids who aren't in sports could get points for their house for, but I think we did a fairly decent job of that. The toy drives and the food drives are pretty easy, the field days and things like that. I didn't see anything on here about behavior. I think we need to add that. We should be giving points for good behavior. Yes, Kim.
I would think that with something like this, did you notice from, let's say, before you had it and then now, was there a much better level of enthusiasm and excitement having a house to kind of compete?
They love it. Yeah, they get excited about it. Yeah. And something else that we did that I think is important is we sent a letter home to the parents before we rolled this out, explaining what the house system is. We're implementing this. Your child's going to be randomly placed in a house. If they have siblings, they're going to be in the same house, that kind of thing, so that the parents knew what was going on. We got really positive feedback from the parents. They were excited as well.
Every year? Do you send that out every year?
Well, we'll send it to the new families. Yeah. New families will get that, K through 8. Yes.
Do your houses have student leaders?
No, we haven't done that yet. We'll randomly pick an 8th grader to do this or that, but no, we haven't assigned student leaders yet. We really haven't built in any activities to where that would be useful, I guess. Luann? Yes.
Lance, so is this K to 8?
It's K to 8.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you update weekly? How do you let students know where they're at?
How do
Houses know
Yeah.
where they're at.
Janine, why didn't you come to my class? I know we updated them. I just don't remember how often.
Okay. We can.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Probably not often enough, but yes.
Can they get points taken away?
No, we don't take points away. And we did put siblings in the same families, and they'll stay in the same families as long as they're in our school. So, trying to think of anything else that would be good. Yes, sir.
Would you be willing to share that point scale?
Sure.
In an email? Or?
Yeah, I could do that. Just give me your email address. Yeah, I can send it to you. Yes.
I know that our Savior has younger kids. Did you deliberately do K through 8? Did it just work better at your school?
Yeah, we just didn't think it would work with preschool and pre-K. They're awfully young. Even in our chapel families, that first 3 or 4 weeks when those kindergartners are looking around in the church for who they're supposed to sit with, it's hard on them. And those are some of the reasons we thought it'd be best just to start it in kindergarten. Yes, sir.
How about you put your email address on the board and we'll send you an email and you can reply to it.
Got it. Let me know if you want points, PowerPoint, or both. That's an O. Gerard at oslschool.org. All right, that's it. Go start your house systems. Thanks.